if there's anything you can take away from the events that have led up to this UK election and to further elections that are going to happen, and if there's anything you can take away with how people were sticking their finger in the air and seeing which way the wind was blowing, you can take away from it that everyone's kind of out of touch with what's actually going on, like how the people actually feel. And looking at particularly journalism and journalists, they're living in this bubble, and they don't. Journalism becomes sort of lazy in regards to the fact that of where they get their information from the man on the street. The man on the street. And they used to do the vox pops and stuff, and they go talk to the man on the street. This is what the people think, or they do surveys or polls. But now they don't have to do that kind of thing. They don't have to work as hard because they have Twitter. Twitter is the hotbed for journalism, and not just journalists. It's the hotbed for a lot of content creators on these very platforms I'm speaking to you from right now. Think about it. The Twitter economy is huge. It's massive. And yet Twitter itself has a smaller user base, and especially in terms of active users. But if you looked at all the noise that was going on up until the election, not just on Twitter but also on Facebook, is that it is quite apparent that the loudest people are not really representative of the majority of human thought that's going on right now. And we pay too much attention to Twitter, especially. Because I was hearing all sorts of noise. If I just went on the information I seen on social media, on Twitter and Facebook, and used that as a way to gauge who was going to win the election in the UK, I would be like, it'd be a landslide victory to Labour. Like a landslide. An absolute landslide. What happened? Completely the opposite. It tells you that we're paying it too much attention. It's not the fault of Twitter. It's our fault. It's everyone's fault. We're paying it too much attention. Twitter became this thing. It started off one way. It was like, Facebook Lite, I suppose, because you couldn't give as much information. And it just turned into this animal that's become very central to a lot of debate about public space and discourse, so on and so forth. And you do have to wonder, like, what it is like to be Jack Dorsey, just sitting there going, what is this? What did I do? What is this thing we've done? I wasn't expecting this. He probably thought people were just going to talk about what lunch they had and stuff. But what was it led to? Because the amount of smoke that gets generated from Twitter is bad. And I've heard people commenting on how, there's analysts going, well, Jeremy Corbyn had more retweets than blah, 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 blah. Doesn't really say anything. It's just that's people on Twitter who are active. A certain type of person is more active on Twitter. And the loudest voices on Twitter have been very progressive left-wing people and very easily triggered people as well. This is where all this stuff has come from. And you think about it, look, you can look right across the board. You can go to, I often find it amusing to watch. There's a lot of channels out there that are just exclusively about Star Wars and comic books. Oh, people are outraged. The SJWs are coming after Wonder Woman or some shit like that. And you look at it and it's like, it's Twitter. It's Twitter. Most of their content will come from outrage. When you talk about outrage, a journalist will say, well, people reacted to this very badly, and it's quoting tweets. Social justice warriors don't like this, and it's outrage on Twitter. Because you can go on a trending hashtag, or you can just search the term, and you'll find someone. And it's someone with, there'll be articles saying, oh, this is, the harassment campaign against this celebrity because they're gay or something, and you'll go through, the accounts that have been harassing these people, and they have like 40 followers. It'll be some blatant troll account, like I am a Russian robot 2016, something like that. And they'll go, oh yeah, well look at this, this is terrible. And it's like, it's not really a good, it's not a good gauge of what's actually going on or how people actually feel. It's not at all. If they used this kind of research in government research and all sort of, I'm telling you, or if most businesses use that as a way to gauge what people are thinking, and I think some companies probably have, because there has been this whole progressive movement within a lot of corporations because they were told by marketing experts that, and I've read the same stuff, millennials who are big consumers. Funny enough that millennials are big consumers are very broke. But that's another talk for another time. And and they like the progressive ideas and just causes and all this stuff. And then companies like Gillette and stuff will go, oh right, well, we need to reach out to these people by creating these crazy, bizarre messages in our advertising. And then it backfires on them. They're like going, oh, why did that happen? It's because you're using the wrong data. It's the wrong data. You think about it. I think going into 2020, if 2019 was to be the year of Clown World, the year of the clown, 2020 might be a chance to refresh this and maybe just stay away from Twitter. I'm not trying to saying let's make Twitter bankrupt. No. I'm saying let's just use it as a thing and stop paying it so much attention, because there's way too many articles, there's way too much content generated because of a few angry tweets. And then we create this, it starts off like this, and then suddenly it's this massive big thing, but it's not. It's an illusion. We're living in a kind of Matrix type situation, but the Matrix and Neuromancer, the book Neuromancer, and all these things that made these predictions about, the future and these networks, these cyberspace, and how we're going to live in a false reality. They didn't quite work out it was going to be like this, because we do live in a false reality, because a lot of people look to Twitter and go, well, that is exactly what's going on. And yet, when it comes to IRL stuff, that's in real life, baby, people walking out the door to go check a box to vote, people got it well wrong and didn't see what was going on. And a lot of journalists, a lot of people in the media are just look to Twitter is a great example of how people have completely just misread everything. And just think, well, this is the way the wind's blowing. This is what people think about. You got people apologizing for stuff because a small mob comes after them, or people, or film companies, people big Hollywood films are like, cowering down to this very, very loud and probably damaged minority of people who have been damaged because all they do is get outraged on this little social media platform, and it's been given way too much attention. Oh, we're so sorry for offending you people. And it's like, who are these people? Why are so many people retweeting it? Because they ain't got nothing better to do. How many people are actually writing tweets? How many people are actually retweeting them? It's just not the way to gauge what's going on. People are upset about this. People hate this. Oh, these people are having a go at my favourite actor or something because of something he said, when it's actually just a handful of people, whereas most people, the majority of the nations, majority of the world, don't care. They don't care. This stuff doesn't bother them. They're not interested. Look at the things they are caring about. When they do care, they'll go out and do something significant, like that happened last week. And I think it's just a great example of how everyone's got a lot of stuff wrong. Because you think about it, if you just start ignoring Twitter as a legitimate place to gather, to get sources and information on how people feel and what public discourse is saying and what the general mood of a nation is, if you just ignore Twitter, we might be living in a very, very different time right now. Possibly. Because we'd ignore all that nonsense. We'd ignore all those really outraged small groups of people that are just so loud and obnoxious all the time. And, there wouldn't be half the stuff that we have. There'd be no outrage over this. thing. You know, there wouldn't be. There wouldn't be. You know, people would have just gone, "Oh, that Ghostbusters film didn't look very good," and that would have been the end of it, wouldn't it? Instead of this being turned into a huge row about sexism, stuff like that. People paid Twitter too much attention and bigged it up too much, probably because of stuff like the Arab Spring, where social. But that wasn't just Twitter. Facebook was used for that as well. But they think, this thing can change the world, and they just paid it too much attention. Especially journalists, need to move away from it. Going, well, this is a news story, because it's not a news story. Often you'll just look at a news story and it just says, "Oh, this is what some nobody said on this social media platform." That's what the actual article is. Instead, it's going, "Oh, outrage over blah 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 blah," and it's not, as if this is a big thing. It's not a big thing. It's not a big deal. It's a few people, and we've made it like it's a massive big deal. And hopefully people grow out of it, because you've got a younger generation coming through who don't really like Twitter. They're on Instagram and Snapchat, which presents its own set of weird problems, but that's something else. So maybe there will be a shift. It will be a very long time coming, but I would just appeal to people just to sort of, if you want to make content across the board, leave the Twitter alone. And if you see an article and see what it says about someone's upset about something, or there's outrage over this, or blah 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 blah, look at the core of the article, where it all came from. How did it all start for someone to say, "I'm writing this article"? And if the core idea, if the spark to write the article came from someone tweeting, ignore it. Just ignore it, because it's just rage bait. That's all it is. It's usually just rage bait. Rarely positive, and it's doing everything a disservice. You're gonna have to find new stuff to have content about. That's why I stay away from Twitter. So that's what I'm saying. I think people looking to Twitter and then projecting what they've seen on Twitter as an actual story about what's going on it's like a very niche corner of humanity that's just been amplified, as if this is how everyone thinks. This is how everyone is reacting. And it's not. This is an illusion. It's a fake reality. And that is part of, it's a small part of a very overinflated problem that we have now. And I just say, look at this election, look at what people are saying, and then just look across the board at everything that is involved that has something related to Twitter. All content, whether it's on YouTube or articles. Go look at it and go, "Oh yeah, that's really something about absolutely nothing. It's meaningless. Well, why am I looking at this? This doesn't tell me anything." Yeah. We might be able to make 2020 the year of, not the year of the clown. What's the opposite of a clown? Year of the lion tamer. That's right. That's a noble circus job.